Hey everyone, I know I haven't made a lot of videos recently. I apologize. I've been busy doing things. I'll get this dog in the view. There we go. But I was looking at the list of the video I made earlier, which was movies that I dislike that everyone else likes, and I haven't gotten or I wasn't getting around to the video that the one that films that I like that everyone else dislikes. So I was looking, I haven't done it. That video came out like 4 months ago, so I apologize if I'm a bit late. But I figured, hey, better late than never, I guess. So here we go. Films that I like that everyone else seems to dislike. Okay, the first film is from 1998. It's I'll Be Home for Christmas. I know when this came out, I was like too young to remember. I was like real young to. I wouldn't remember any, but I looked up online. It like got extremely negative reviews when it came out, and it didn't do very well at the box office either. But I mean, I mean, some people think it's kind of dumb, you know. But I don't know. I always grew up watching. For many years, I've always watched this around Christmas time when I was a kid for a while. I mean, I've missed a few because I mean, yeah, there's years when I didn't feel like watching it all that much, but when I do, for some reason, I don't hate it that much like a lot of people do. I know, I know, I know it's a little dumb at points, but I find some of it quite funny and enjoyable. It's crazy though who was in it. Was that Jonathan Taylor Thomas? This was 98. Lion King came out in 94, so 4 years before. It's crazy how, in 4 years, it's just funny watching it, how he had like how he was like a young kid and, when he did recorded Lion King and only 4 to 5 years later, his voice, how it changes so fast. I always thought that was funny, kind of. But yeah, even this film, I always thought it was just like kind of a funny like road trip in a way film, and I always like road trip movies. I know some of them aren't the best, but I don't know what it is with this one. I mean, I always maybe it's the nostalgia factor, but forgot. Yeah, I said for a while Jessica Biel's in this, Gary Hole, Arlene Sanford. That name sounds familiar. I don't know. I recognize. I don't know what other names. What other films she's done. She did Very Brady sequel, other films. I guess they're okay, but I don't know. For some reason, this film I always thought it was just enjoyable. It's a Christmas movie, had some good scenes. I thought acting wasn't bad. I like the music, especially the ending with the beginning. Santa comes on me. No, it says Santa comes on home. I forget the words. How you let's go. I don't want to get copyrighted, but and the ending song was the NSYNC Christmas. I did not know because when I was like young, I never caught on to this stuff, but how Timberlake was with Beale is with Beale. I don't know if he's with her anymore. I forget. They are together, but it's weird. They only got married in 2012, and this came out in '98. So it's kind of funny watching it how he and NSYNC did the end credit theme. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. That tune. Um, it's funny. It's kind of funny that how he does the end credit theme, and they ended up Timberlake when he was with when NSYNC. This was when NSYNC was still together, and it was just funny how seeing it now how he and NSYNC do the song, and then years later, he and Beale end up together in real life, which was kind of funny looking back. Yeah, but overall, this film, I know it gets a lot of hate. I know a lot of people hate it, especially a lot of reviewers on YouTube, I know hate it. But I don't know why. I just don't. Maybe it's just a nostalgia factor. But even watching it now, I'm like, I don't think it's that terrible. I mean, yeah, not all the humor works. You know, some of the characters are a bit jerkish at times. But overall, I think it's an enjoyable Christmas movie. You know, it's decent. It's not the worst Christmas movie I've seen. I've seen other really bad ones. It's another video, maybe. But yeah, first film I have is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Films that I like that everyone else seemed to dislike. Okay, and the second film I guess we have is another Disney movie. I forgot to mention I'll Be Home for Christmas. That was a Disney movie. And the second film I have is also a Disney movie. This is from 2006, and it's The Wild. Now, I know when this also came out, I was young when this came out too, and I know it was really critically slammed. Like, critics didn't really like it, and I know it didn't do well at the box office either. And I mean, a lot of people said this was like a ripoff of Madagascar, which came out the year prior in 2005. I'm not sure if this was in production. I'm sure they always work on stuff a year or two ahead. So I mean, I don't know if they copied exactly everything because it's possible. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong because when this Madagascar 2005, so Disney might have when that was out, and that was a big hit, obviously. I remember, it's possible maybe they might have got Disney might have gotten ideas from DreamWorks. I know their rivalry with each other. It's possible they might have gotten ideas, but I don't think they could have. I don't think they could have made a whole feature length. How long is this? 82 minutes, hour and a half film. No, Christmas was 90 minutes, 86 minutes. Okay, this was 80. Oh, this was 82. That I'll Be Home Christmas was 86. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted there for a sec, but I don't. I mean, Madagascar came out first. There's no way they could have made a whole length 3D CG, film in only a year. 2005, 6. There's no way they could have gotten it done that fast. I don't believe a full length feature film. I don't think they could have. But I mean, I guess I could see why people don't like this film. I mean, I guess because a lot of people think it's a ripoff of Madagascar. I'm not sure of that. And a lot of people also have like a problem with like the hyper realistic looking CG. I don't know if you could see that there. Called what's that territory? It's called. I know people have the same uncanny. Uncanny. I think that's the term. Uncanny Valley. Uncanny. Uncanny Valley. Yeah, but I guess because it looks like too realistic, the CG animals do. I mean, I guess I can understand that, but same thing people had with The Lion King that came out last year. The Uncanny Valley, I guess, because it looked too realistic for its own good without the expressions. I myself don't mind that movie. I think it's okay at best. I mean, I really liked it when it came out, but my excitement's kind of died down since. I don't hate it, but I don't love it as much as the original either. I mean, I don't know. I'll review those another time down the road, maybe. But with this film, I mean, I don't know. I hate to say it, but I think the expressions on the realistic looking animals here, I think they're even more accurate or have more. I have to be brutally honest. They have more expression than The Lion King 2019. This is 2006. So I have to give it that. The expressions aren't bad. I don't think, in my opinion. And I don't know why people. I don't know why people really despised this film when it came out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like the voice cast. It had Kiefer Sutherland. Greg Sipes is the Cub, and I remember when I heard the trailer, it was funny because this was around Teen Titans. The original series was just ending, and I heard the trailer voice with the Ryan voice. I'm like, is that Beast Boy doing the voice? It was. And it's ironic too because another part in the movie has Kevin Michael Richardson, and he was also a reoccurring voice in Teen Titans. So it was kind of funny having him and the guy who does Beast Boy in the same movie again, which was kind of funny. Who else was in this? The Wild, 2006. Kiefer Sutherland, Eddie Izzard, Greg Sipes, Patrick Warburton, Jim Belushi, Janine Garofalo. Box office 100 million. Um, William Shatner, 80 million, 102 million. Yeah, that's not really successful if you ask my opinion. And the other one, I said not to change the subject. '98. I'll be over it. Oh yeah, that was a big flop. Budget of 30 million. It only made back 12 million. So it was a big flop, that one. And this Wild, it did more than the budget, but not by much either. But overall, I mean, this film, it's enjoyable. The Wild. I mean, I never found it boring. It's not boring. I'll give it that. And it has some funny parts in it, legit funny parts. I think the story's pretty good. I mean, some people I see online, didn't like the cliched. Oh, they have to go rescue Ryan because he got captured by, he went on the cargo crate. Got in a fight. I guess with his dad, he tried to apologize. I mean, I guess I could see why people say that was a little cliched, but I mean, the characters I liked. I mean, I think they're decent enough. I think the voice acting was pretty good, and even in one part watching it now, it's kind of sad, funny, but in a sad way. They go in Times Square and it plays Coldplay's Clocks. And it's cool online seeing everybody saying like this film, that scene with Clocks, because it came out a few years before Clocks did, I think. I liked how a lot of people said that scene introduced them to Coldplay. I kind of knew them a little before with their song "Fix You," 2005, I think that was. Yeah, and and it's cool how, if you think, that's kind of cool if you think about it, a lot of people were introduced with Coldplay because of this film using their song Clocks when they go, especially when they go in Times Square. And especially that one scene, it's kind of, it's funny but kind of sad, as I was saying, was Bridget, I guess, which is the giraffe. She sees a sign for Toys R Us with the giraffe they had back then. It's kind of sad, funny watching it now, knowing that they've all pretty much gone out of business. I know they've made a brief comeback, but it's very, very brief, if anything. They're like pretty much, they're a shadow of they're pretty much a shadow of their former selves in 2000 compared to 2006. So it's kind of sad in a way how they're all how that was like the big banner. I guess they had a store there too in Times Square, and that's since closed, obviously too. It's kind of sad watching it now in a way how that was like a big store, and even a lot of people online I see like, oh, it's sadly different watching it knowing that the whole chain has pretty much you know gone under. And there's some, as I said, though, there's some funny parts I like a lot, and I thought the chemistry between everyone I thought was well done enough, and it has a few touching moments too with Ryan and Samson, the dad, bonding with each other. And I would have liked to. There's a deleted scene with they introduce his mom. I was wondering if the mom, if she was deceased or not. Apparently she is alive, but it was a cut scene. They thought she didn't really. It was just a brief moment. I guess they didn't add. She figured didn't add anything. I wish they would have kept that though. And then there's another deleted bit when the What's the squirrel's name? Sammy, was it? No, that was Over the Hedge. Jim Belushi. Benny, not Sammy. Benny. Not the film. It's kind of weird. He like has a crush on Bridget the giraffe, and it is kind of strange. I know a lot of people found that kind of strange, and she kind of has something for him, but she's kind of annoyed by it, more annoyed by him. She's kind of warming up to him throughout, but I don't know, he's more into her, which was kind of weird, I guess. I'll admit that that was weird. It was funny. I felt the chemistry, I guess, but it was just kind of strange at the same time. I mean, there was one funny part with them when he's, runs into something and he looks up and he sees Bridget and she says, I was surprised they got away with this. I mean, it's a G rated film, but it was a bit of mild innuendo when uh, she says, stop staring. He goes, don't look at my spots, Benny. My eyes are up here. I'm like, well, that was surprising that they got away with that line. I mean, you probably know what the joke is, but I'm like, that was kind of funny. That was a pretty funny line, I'll admit. Clever. I mean, risque, maybe. I thought it was kind of risque, clever. I thought it was one of the funny lines of the film. And had some good music, especially the soundtrack here. The Real Wild Child performed by Everlife. They're like a big group back then, I guess. But it's a good song, and then the song they hear at the end called "Really Nice Day" I thought was a kind of a catchy bit. But I know this film doesn't get a lot of love at all, and I can understand why. But especially like I know there's like the cliche, I guess Ryan, because he can't roar because he's a cub, and then find out his dad went through the same thing because he had a father, I guess, that didn't like that he couldn't roar, and Ryan with Samson, the same thing happens. Not known, I guess, because they're young, they don't really have a developed roar yet. But I guess, I thought that story was pretty good. Engaging. So yeah, The Wild. I mean, I know some people do have a soft spot for it, but I guess I do. So yeah, that's the second film. I mean, overall, like I said, it's not boring. I think it's entertaining. It moves at a good enough pace, just like All Home for Christmas. I think that moves at a good enough pace too. I think this moves at a good pace as well. Okay, now just that lighting there. Okay, and the last film is they came out this a year after The Wild, 2007. I know this is a divisive film. I know some people really like it, some people don't. Some think it's okay. And I know when I saw it in the theater, I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good too. I mean, now I can see the flaws it has, and it is a flawed movie, I'll admit, but I still think it has a lot of good moments. And it's a comic book film, and it is Spider-Man 3. Now, like I said, I still love it as much as when I first saw it. Saw it 13 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. I mean, watching it now, though, I could see the flaws it has. I mean, yeah, they do overload the villains. I mean, some people say, like, oh, there's three villains in it. Well, I mean, technically not. I mean, in the whole film, yes, but he doesn't fight all three at one time. He teams up with one that turns good and fights the other two. Now, yeah, I'll admit that was a bit much, three villains. If they would have had two at most, I mean, like Harry would have made sense. Now, he would have made the most sense if they had him just because someone else. I mean, the second film, as if you saw the ending, the second film, the way it ended, set up him being the villain in this one. So that made sense. He was in this one. And Sandman was okay, I'll admit, played by Thomas Hayden Church. He did well. Topher Grace, I know Topher Grace gets a lot of hate for his role in this movie. Some think it's he was miscast, and I guess I could see that, but I didn't hate him too much. I thought he did okay. Um, yeah, I'll agree. Venom. He could have. I wish he was in the movie a little bit more than he was, because I know Venom was like, still is one of the most popular Spider-Man villains, and he was only in it for like the last 15, 20 minutes, which was kind of disappointing. I'll admit. Even when I saw it in the theater, I'm like, that's it, you know. And the way they disposed of him at the end, I'm like, that's it, you know. Like, I don't know if they were planning a fourth movie at one point, if they were gonna have Carnage. Obviously, it didn't happen. So I wish they would have done more with Venom. Sandman, I'll admit that people didn't like the plot twist with him being with behind Uncle Ben. I didn't mind that too much. I mean, I don't think the fact. I don't know. I'm kind of divided on that as well. Um, I mean, yeah, some of the things people dislike are like the dancing scenes, and I'll admit they're a little silly at times. Some of the humor has some funny parts though, like the restaurant with the guy trying to pronounce his name, Peter Parker's name, and the trying to have the signs about when to bring the ring, which was kind of funny, I'll admit. And yeah, and then I mean, I can also see the problem. Like, they try to jam way too many plot lines together. I think, like, Peter trying to marry MJ, dealing with Harry's amnesia he gets when he's fighting Peter. Uncle Ben's real killer. Peter competing with Eddie. The black suit. Um, Gwen Stacy's story. I know there's more. My God, I know there's more. Peter and MJ falling out. And I can see why they definitely jammed, I think, a little way too many plot lines together. They could have cut a bit down. I do like a lot of the film though. I like the aspects of forgiveness. Being ready, committed to certain things, and the black suit Spider-Man, as you can see here and here. I like the design on the black suit. I still have the action figure too. I always liked it. Yeah, the designs at the CG I think is really good. Still is. Excuse me. I think the effects are done well. I said acting. I think everyone still does pretty well in it, acting wise. And I think even the ending. I mean, I'll admit the plot was a little dumb. Was even the nostalgia critic, I agree, pointed out. When Harry forces MJ to tell Peter she's breaking up with him, and she tells it, but I'm thinking, he's not. She's not even in earshot. He's not even in earshot. So how could he even know what she's saying? He can go fight Harry. We've seen him do it before. And he's Spider-Man. He's fought. Ones like that. And even he says at the end when Sandman, when he goes away at the end, he's like, "Where's he going?" So I guess I can get that confusion. And then there was another scene. I mean, especially the scene when they call him about the update about his uncle's killer, and they call him on the payphone. I'm like, how in the world would a police station know to call the payphone that he's right next to? It's like the biggest coincidence ever. Even the symbiote, I agree, saying that was a little far fetched. Like it comes out of the sky, the meteor, the symbiote, alien. It happens to land right next to Peter. I'm like, that's the biggest coincidence ever, basically. But overall, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of flaws, and I'm definitely gonna admit it's definitely the most flawed out of the three movies. Definitely. I don't think the score's good though. I'll admit by who did the score, Christopher Young, and they used some of Danny Elfman's score in the first two as well here, and I think they use it well. I think because Danny Elfman, I guess there was disagreement with the score, so that's why he didn't compose this. But I like how they still gave him credit because they do use his score in it. I like that they do give him credit though for it, and I think the fight scenes are still pretty good, especially the subway and when he fights Sandman. I think that fight's real good in the black suit. When he fights Harry the second time, I admit the first fight was okay, not really my favorite. And when he fights Sandman on the bank truck, not was it bank truck? I don't know truck, but I think that was okay. I think the second fights were better, and the end fight, I'll admit, was really good. For the trilogy, I think it was a really good final fight, final battle, and I do think the storyline with Harry, I think it wrapped up his story from the first film, wanting to get revenge on Spider-Man in the second movie, and him finding peace in this movie. I think his story was wrapped up really well. And I'm gonna spoil it. You probably know what happens to him, but his death at the end was a touching scene. I'll admit, and even the forgiveness before that with Peter and Sandman was real touching too in the flashback. And I said Harry's death was very touching. I remember at theater as a kid, I thought it was a very sad send off, but I thought it was well done send off to him. And at the funeral scene, I really like how they use the responsibility theme. That's Danny Elfman's theme in all three movies, but I like how they use it here, like when it's needed, especially like after Spider-Man ditches the black suit, he brings out the red suit, and the theme plays. Real good scene. And then at the end at Harry's funeral, you hear the theme playing, Peter's voiceover about we all have our choices. Harry chose, I think, to be the best of himself. I think that was real good, especially because it's the last time you hear the responsibility theme, it is very like depressing and somber sounding, but I think it's fitting for the scene, and also fitting that it's the last time in all the movies that you hear it. And the last scene, with Peter and MJ dancing, I guess showing that things are going to be okay. That was good. But I wanted to see a fourth movie. I don't know. Some say it wouldn't have worked. It was kind of not going to be good. I'm always split on whether I wanted to see a fourth movie, but part of me figures like even Peter and MJ story here, I felt like it resolved well, despite all the flaws it has. The movie has. I mean, is it good as the first two? Definitely not. I don't know. It's flip flop between one or two. Which one's better? I think they're both equally great. Um, this has a lot of good things, but but what holds it back, sadly, is the overly convoluted plot and overstuffing that the movie has, and some really dumb out of place scenes. But I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't think it's the worst comic book movie I've seen. I still think it's better than the Andrew Garfield movies, which they're not terrible either, but just have a lot of flaws as well. And Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, I don't know. The Sam Raimi films, because of the nostalgia, I grew up with the Sam Raimi films, is why I like them more than both of the other two, the other films, MCU's. But overall, I don't think Spider-Man 3 is a bad movie. I think it's flawed, but I think it's a satisfying end to Sam Raimi's trilogy. Especially, I like how this has like some horror elements, like the first two had as well, because he did horror films back in the day. I think he does it well. In all three films, some scenes. Now I'm just repeating it. Am I repeating myself? I don't know if I said it. As I said, yeah. Overall, I think it was a satisfying end to the series, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. So there we go. Okay, guys, that was my list Those three movies that I like that everyone else seems to dislike. Do you agree or disagree? Comment below. Comment below and tell me what you think. And I'll catch you guys later, I guess. And I hope everyone, as I said, I hope everyone's staying safe. Um, yeah, just stay safe, be smart, and make wise decisions during these times. See ya.